Alright. For this video, the third one, we'll be looking at the medial sections, or the medial cut of the brain. I also have the coronal cuts ready so we can compare. I also have images of the putamen structure that we can look at. Right now I'm just doing a little bit of maintenance, doing less coronal cuts on the spinal cord and cerebellum. Now, this structure right here is the putamen. Right there. And then also where I put the stick is also the globus pallidus. Behind the putamen is supposed to be the thalamus. Right about there. Here. Above all of this is the cingulate body. This is a cingulate, this white matter here. No, not the cingulate, the quadrate, sorry. And then the quadrate goes back further laterally, away, more distal from the center of the brain, and connects to the hippocampus, which would be somewhere around here. No, that's the frontal cortex there. Let's see if we can see it in the comparatively in this structure here that I cut. So this would be the frontal cortex. This would be posterior. If I was to guess, it would be somewhere around there ways. There doesn't seem to. As you can see, we do have the quadrate body that's going back. And you can see it beginning to make its descent, I believe. It's there. And this is the putamen, or the hypothalamus back there, the thalamus back here. Then I go forward into this structure. Excuse me. Okay, we're back. So, let's get to it. Going down the list of the workbook in front of me, let's identify the frontal lobe of the cerebrum. The frontal lobe is approximately this area. Each of the lobes is not well defined due to the organic nature and randomness of how big and how long and the distribution of every single brain across a bunch of sheep, or every single member of a species. However, you can get the general gist by relevance to other tissues. For example, we still have the caudate body here, approximately. That is the caudate body, right? It is the corpus callosum up here. Huh. I was associating it to a human structure. Oh, I fucked up. Okay. There's a sheep brain, so it must be organized in a different way. Okay, Garrick, let's try to do better. Frontal lobe of the cerebellum. Parietal lobe of the cerebellum. Frontal, parietal, occipital. The frontal lobe is responsible for personality, motivation, judgment, and voluntary motor coordination. Coordination, yes, but there is a motor strip somewhere like here-ish that relates to actual sensation or movement of motors. The actual movement of motor. Not the coordination of it, but individual movements. The parietal lobe of the cerebellum. The middle region of the cerebellum responsible for deciphering sensory input and some language abilities. That's still a very generalist way of explaining it, because there's still the Wernicke and the Wernicke area and the Brodmann area, both of which are responsible for language. Unfortunately, I believe I cut up the Brodmann and Wernicke areas, but they are on the lobes. Occipital lobe of the cerebellum. The rear region of the cerebrum responsible for interpreting visual impulses. Now we're going to move to the inner parts. Like here, this really small structure. Right there. That is the corpora quadrigemina, the part of the midbrain that consists of 4 small rounded knobs. 4 real rounded. What? What? 4? Talking about this? Right there? There's that one, and then there's that one. So I guess there would be 4. Okay. 4 small rounded knobs. If I had to put... Okay, knowing in the future, if you're going to be a neuroengineer and you're going to put shit somewhere, you put it on the cerebellum or you put it on the cortex. You can't really get in here unless you were trying to store nanomachines somewhere that you can put in the ventricles, or you could put a device underneath the hypothalamus. That's an option. It was a little pocket there. The only issue is that you have to go to the dura mater, and that would compromise the blood-brain barrier. Okay, moving forward. Now we have to talk about the arbor vitae, a gathering of white nerve tissue located within the cerebellum. Arbor vitae. Now the cerebellum itself is part or really important in regulating heart rate and blood flow. If you lose the cerebellum, you die. This region, oh no, that's the, yeah. The cerebellum, this region of the hindbrain, has a cauliflower-like appearance and is responsible for balance and equilibrium, motor coordination, and muscle tone. I wouldn't say muscle tone. Tone is like your body fat. So muscle strength, or how many muscles you recruit. Spinal cord. Well, you know what that is? The medulla oblongata, which would be here or down there. As you can see, it's still fused-ish. You can't even tell the difference between the medulla oblongata and the pons in this state without histology. It all just looked like one solid piece. The region of the hindbrain extends into the spinal cord and is responsible for that's what I was thinking of. It is responsible for autonomic functions such as respiration, blood circulation, heart rate, swallowing reflex, and other involuntary actions. The autonomic system is mostly there, even though it's part of the CNS. In terms of evolution, this was one of the first and most vital structures to appear. So let me put some wood pins. Pons. Medulla oblongata. Okay. Then we have the fourth ventricle. So I always thought there was just two, because there's when I first found out about ventricles, I understand they're in the middle of the brain, right above the midbrain, and there was one ventricle for each hemisphere of the brain. Apparently, for the sheep brain, the brain has several ventricles or cavities that contain the cerebral spinal fluid, which cushions and protects neurons, but also provides calcium, potassium, and it's the brain's blood in a way. It's kind of weird. But yeah, it does offer the cushioning and also the brine for the brain. Not all ventricles are represented in this guide. I'm going to guess because there's so many different ventricles. Like here. And I wonder, yeah, you could maybe say in here, in the cerebellum, those are ventricles. Strange, isn't it? Right in between the arbora vitae, like gills. The pons passes along the medulla oblongata and relays messages between the two halves of the cerebrum and the cerebellum. Pineal body, or gland, as a small round structure in the midbrain, secretes the hormone melatonin. Melatonin is released in response to the stimulus of darkness and promotes sleep. The pineal body plays a role in the daily biorhythms, or circadian rhythms, it would be the more accurate term. So it looks like I also hit it with this, the putamen body. Sorry, the pineal body. I still think the putamen body is somewhere there as well. I don't want to get formatted on my phone. Alright. Now what is it? The pituitary gland. I was right. I was right earlier, except it was beneath, or it was dorsal of the hypothalamus. The pituitary gland is dorsal of the hypothalamus. So, according to this, it should be somewhere around here. Somewhere around there. I really need to do histology next time I work on one of these brains. I have to save that for another day, though. Now the aqueduct. A narrow channel connects the third and fourth ventricles and is located in the midbrain. So it connects ventricles. This thing right here. Approximately. Also, I guess that's another aqueduct, if I'm not mistaken. Or, how am I gonna call it aqueduct? There's a membrane there. Okay. Going on to 13. The pituitary gland is technically a part of the central nervous system, but is highly associated with it. The pituitary gland is an endocrine gland that triggers other endocrine glands through hormone signaling. It secretes hormones such as growth hormone, vasopressin, yes, gonadotropic hormones. So those are your hormones you usually find in your genitals are also produced here, such as estrogen and testosterone. The vasopressin, osmoregulation in the kidneys, but also osmoregulation throughout the entire body. Gonadotropic hormones also stimulate gonad development. Oxytocin, which is just happiness, but also stimulates uterine contraction during birth in females to reduce pain. Thyrotropin stimulates thyroid secretions and others. So it is like the hormone central. The hypothalamus, just below the thalamus, is the link between the neural and endocrine system. It regulates, the hypothalamus has a lot of cholesterol. It regulates the physical state of the body, maintains homeostasis, and responds to thirst and hunger stimuli. The hypothalamus is really important, and you learn more about it in neurobiology. There's a lot of connection, and there's a whole system to do with it that I need to remember. But where is the hypothalamus? So apparently this entire region here is the hypothalamus. Here, that's the hypothalamus. The thalamus, wait, no, that can't be right, because the hypothalamus is smaller. Okay, wait, hang on. Hypothalamus. The thalamus appears as a round white region in the diencephalon region of the forebrain. This thing? That can't be right, it's too far forward. Looks more like the optic chiasm. It is the optic chiasm. The hell is it talking about? So where I put the stick is supposed to be the hypothalamus, and right below that is or that, and then right above it here is supposed to be the thalamus. But that's also labeled, okay, that's labeled as a thalamus, yeah. What's 12? Oh, okay, so thalamus, this is thalamus, hypothalamus, then up here, this right there, that is the pineal body. Let's go ahead and mark that. Ooh, you get green, buddy. I am green with envy for you. Okay. Yeah. It's that white spot below the green. I'm guessing the reason why they did wet fixation is because it allows things to move around more. I can tell you that dry fixation, you crumble in your hands. Fornix, the arched region below the lateral ventricle. Well, there's multiple ventricles. What do you mean lateral? Okay, so 17. Where are you, 17? I was right that there's a fornix here. Is it fornix or quadrate body? No, I'll never know. Why? Because scientists can't agree on how to name things, because they're all a bunch of children. Okay, fornix. The lateral ventricle has several ventricles that contain cerebral spinal fluid. The lateral ventricle, which it was referring to, was between the fornix and the corpus callosum. Okay. Okay. This bit right here. That's the lateral ventricle. Which should have a better name. I do not want a scientist becoming a cartographer. I don't want somebody who works in anatomy becoming a cartographer. You know what we probably have distal proximal Diablo Mountain, or California would be ipsilateral Nevada. The olfactory bulb we found, but okay. But hey, I just want to double check. Yeah, I was right earlier in the first episode. Okay. So that's that thing done. Let's see if there's any other observations I can make. Not really. I was looking to extract a hippocampus from here, but I doubt I can get that. I could try to follow the fornix, but I'd rather keep this bit intact, and I already have my coronal slides ready. I think this is ready for a jar. Ah, looks like somebody got killed there. Or that's where they were stunned. All these little ventricles. Now there is something about the temporal lobe here. It's connected right down there a little bit at these two ends. I just pulled apart the pia mater. Let's see if there's anything more I can pull apart. Gently. Oh yeah. There you go. Okay, so it's not exactly connected. It's a sulci right there. Big one, big old fissure. And it goes all the way around here. I guess this is how the ventricles attach to the rest of the cerebrospinal fluid outside. I'm gonna put you in with Elmer's glue, don't I? And then here's that little cut I made earlier. Let's see if I can open up this other large black spot right there just by pulling at it. Maybe scratch it with the back of this. No. I'm gonna use my prod. I don't want to make a cut exactly, I just want to tease it. No luck. Oh! There we go. There's another sulci opening pretty well. You can see how deep the capillary runs. It's about a half a centimeter maybe? Maybe 0.2 centimeters. See if you can tease some more. Nope, that's as deep as that sulci goes. Oh, I felt something tear right here. Ooh, what's happening up here? I can't tell if it's naturally supposed to. Oh, not naturally. None of this is natural. But all the sulci. I wonder if like each sulci has its own natural connections. Because on one hand, you do have increased surface area, but increased surface area also means that you will need membranes to separate that surface area, especially if it's something like this. You need a membrane to separate both walls of the sulci of the neurons away from each other, or for it to be effective, or if to even have something to pull apart. So that's there. See if I can just keep on teasing this apart. Yep. So if you find a sulci, you can kind of just pull it. Unlike if you were at this gyre right here, you can't pull anything apart. And these sulci go deep. Every single one. So that's how much surface area is being hidden. So it's not so much about wrinkling in the brain, or how many sulci you see, but also how deep they go. But they do seem to go down straight. They don't curve much. Now, we do have white matter and gray matter. That's all there seems to be other than capillaries. There's also muscle. There's also connecting tissue, because we saw a lot of cartilage earlier, but that was just on the dura mater. Okay. 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 I think that'll be all for today. Nothing much to really discuss. As you can see, these things are really drying out. Can't tell if it's formalin because it's a gaseous substance or if it's the water due to the heat, as I am recording this during the summer. You can see the membrane though I was talking about before. Filaments and threads. Between every single branch, it seems, of white matter, there's a sulci, or a ventricle. Okay. Looks like that will be it. Not much else to discuss. This is Garrick Donovan Lombra, Club Neuropower.